Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're talking about two things that can make anyone's skin crawl. Literally, lice and scabies. But look, fear is really just a lack of information. So by the end of this, you're going to have a clear plan to handle these common critters with total confidence.
Okay, let's just dive right in. We have all been there, right? That persistent, just maddening itch that will not go away. Is it just dry skin, an allergy, or could it be something else? Today, we're going to investigate two of the most common culprits behind that itch you just can't seem to kick.
All right, first up, a rite of passage for so many parents and school kids. Let's meet our first unwanted guest, lice. So the fancy medical term is pediculosis, but what are we actually dealing with here? Well, they're tiny wingless insects that are what we call obligate human parasites, and that just means they literally cannot live without us. They don't jump, they don't fly, but man, are they experts at moving from one person to the next.
You can forget all the complex biology for a minute. The single biggest clue for telling the three types of lice apart is simple. It's all about location, location, location. Head lice, they stick to the scalp. Pubic lice, or crabs, they prefer other coarse body hair. And then you've got body lice. They're the real outliers. They actually live in the seams of your clothing, not on your body itself.
And hey, if you've ever had to deal with head lice, you are so far from alone. It's estimated that at any given time, 1 to 3% of elementary school-aged children have an active infestation. It is incredibly common and has absolutely nothing to do with being dirty.
So how do you know for sure? Finding nits, those little eggs, it isn't enough. The absolute golden rule is this: you must find a live, moving louse. And the best way to do that is with wet combing. Why? Well, the conditioner doesn't just detangle the hair, it actually stuns the lice and slows them way down, which makes them 4 times easier to catch. It's brilliant.
Okay, so you've confirmed it, you found one. What's next? It's time to open up the treatment playbook.
Now, step 1 isn't actually medicine. It's all about managing the environment around you. The goal here is really simple. You have to stop the cycle of reinfestation. Just remember, lice cannot survive more than a day or two without a human host. That is their biggest weakness. So a combo of high heat and quarantining things you can't wash for 2 weeks, that's your strategy for getting rid of any stragglers.
And now for the main event, the treatment itself. You've got 2 primary weapons here, and they work in completely different ways. Think of it like physical warfare versus chemical warfare. Dimethicone, that's the physical one. It's a silicone oil that basically suffocates the lice. And because it's not a poison, resistance is nearly impossible. Then you have permethrin. That's a classic insecticide, a neurotoxin that paralyzes them. It works great, but just like with any pesticide, some lice populations are starting to develop resistance.
So, you've probably heard about using things like olive oil or mayonnaise, right? Well, let's be super clear. The scientific evidence just isn't there. This 2004 study was pretty definitive. While some of those home remedies might kill a few live lice, they don't stop them from laying eggs, which of course is the root of the whole problem. You need something that actually kills the eggs. But what happens if you do the treatment and they're still there? Okay, before you panic, just run through this mental checklist. Did you use the product exactly as directed? Did you do that crucial second application? Is it possible you were just reinfested by someone who wasn't treated? If you can confidently say no to all of those, then it might be resistance, and that's your cue to switch to a treatment that works in a totally different way.
All right, let's shift gears completely. We're moving from an insect that lives on your hair to a microscopic invader that lives in your skin. Let's talk about scabies. Yeah, this is a completely different kind of invasion. Scabies is caused by a mite that is so tiny it's invisible to the naked eye. And it doesn't just live on you, it lives in you. The female mite literally burrows into the top layer of your skin to live her life, to feed, and to lay her eggs. So let's put these two side by side because the differences are absolutely critical. Lice are visible insects that are on the hair, so you treat the specific area. Scabies are microscopic mites that are in the skin, so you have to treat the entire body. Getting this distinction right is the key to actually getting rid of them. And this is exactly what's happening just under the surface of your skin. A single female mite burrows in and just keeps laying eggs for up to 2 months. Those eggs hatch, they mature, and the whole cycle just continues. And this, by the way, is why symptoms can take a few weeks to show up the first time you get it. It takes time for your body to develop an allergic reaction to the mites and, well, their droppings.
So, what's the number 1 clue? The classic telltale sign of scabies is this: an intense, relentless itch that is almost always much, much worse at night. If that symptom sounds familiar to you, scabies should definitely be on your radar.
Okay, so you suspect it might be scabies.
The approach here is less of a simple treatment and more of a full-scale eradication strategy. It really requires a coordinated team effort.
And here it is, the most critical part of the entire plan. Everyone in the household and any other close physical contacts must be treated at the exact same time. It doesn't matter if they have symptoms or not. If you don't do this, you just end up playing ping pong with the mites, passing them back and forth. This is totally non-negotiable for success.
Now, the gold standard medical treatment is a permethrin 5% cream. And notice that the strength is higher than the 1% we talked about for lice. It has to be applied meticulously to every single square inch of skin, from your neck all the way down to the soles of your feet. Then you leave it on for 8 to 14 hours before washing it off.
Okay, listen up, because this next point causes so much unnecessary anxiety. Even after all the mites are dead, the itching can continue for weeks. This is just your body's allergic reaction to the stuff the mites left behind in your skin, and it takes time for that to clear out. It does not mean the treatment failed.
So why is all that intense cleaning and bagging really necessary? Well, this chart shows us the parasite's biggest weakness. They just can't survive for long without us. A louse is done for in about 48 hours. A scabies might last maybe a day longer than that. This really short survival window is why quarantining items in a sealed bag for a week or two is a guaranteed way to kill any stragglers.
Whew! So, we've covered a lot of ground. Let's boil it all down to the key takeaways you really need to remember so you can stay vigilant, not anxious.
So let's put it all together in a final cheat sheet. First, diagnosis. Don't guess. You need visual proof of a live parasite. Second, your strategy. For lice, it's a targeted strike on the person who's infested and their close contacts. For scabies, it's a coordinated, all-out campaign. You have to treat everyone at once. For both, hot water and cleaning are absolutely non-negotiable. And please remember, especially with scabies, that a lingering itch doesn't mean failure. It just means your body is cleaning up. And of course, when in doubt, getting a definitive diagnosis from a healthcare provider is always your strongest move.
You know, the goal of this whole explainer wasn't to make you itch, it was to make you prepared. Because knowledge replaces that fear with a plan. So the question I'll leave you with is this: what's the one fact you learned today that will help you take action with confidence if you ever need to? Thanks for watching.